Okay, Dana Abercrombie, The Koalition. Thank you too for speaking to me. I love the show. I love season one. Season two, you just up the ante. So much so. My question, both of you, is it seems it's weird. Going back to season one, there is kind of a really quick throwaway about how there's a Harry Met Sally seems to be Gretchen's one of her favorite, not favorite, but she watched it. It was the only romantic comedy that she ever watched. You kind of get that, not the romantic side, but you get the both point of views of the men and the women. My question was, what other type of movies or shows influenced season two and that perspective of both sides being equally shown?
Well, I'm so excited that you got the shout out to When Harry Met Sally. It's just a t-shirt. We didn't know if anybody would notice that, but I'm like eternally grateful and excited that you saw that.
Yeah, that's huge. I can't believe, I was like, is she talking about the t-shirt? It's pretty good, right? Yeah, that was something that Sarah really wanted, got very specific about. And yeah, it's true. It's the sort of then going on to sort of the men and the women of it all. I think, Sarah, do you want to talk a little? For me, My So-Called Life, even though it's just always going to be a bit of an inspiration for me when talking about coming of age, because even though we're exploring so many different people's coming of age story, the relatability of it, I think, was so important. And that sort of held for me from season one to season two. I still rewatch to sort of remind myself to stay in it.
That's absolutely so true. And actually, I don't know if you recall, in My So-Called Life, they have one episode where they tell it from Brian's perspective, Brian Krakow. You know, we are taking this lens that, you know, our examination of the teenage experience, we're now putting this male lens over it. It's sort of the counterpoint to the female experience. We very much care about the women and continuing their stories. It's why we, you know, made sure that backstories were condensed so that it didn't, you know, tread too much on the time we spent with the women. But it was important for us to take this lens and really see through it.
Yeah, and for us just to always be sure the boys' experience is always, for the audience, I think, going to be seen through what they already know of the girls' experience. So I always feel like that's an overlay, which I think is really important.
So my last question is, aside from just getting the boys' perspectives on things, what makes season two so different from season one?
Well, the nature of the boys, what happens on the boys' island, you know, we have a division there that's really unlike anything we've seen on the girls' island. And I think that fracture really looms large and distinguishes the season.
Yeah, and I think we really worked very hard this season, where the girls last season was all about their physical survival. I think this season is very much about their emotional survival, as they are, you know, deepening their friendships, but also fraying a bit from the pressure of being on this island. I think I was very excited to sort of be in their exploration in a much deeper way.
Lastly, if you could just use one word to sum up the Wilds, what would you say?
I've used this word before, so apologies. But intensity, both intensity of action, but intensity of feeling, intensity of heartbreak, intensity of joy. It's just really operating on a very high vibrational level.
I'm going with The Wilds is Wild.
That works too.
Works.
Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.